afternoon, everyone. I'm Angelique Stallings. I will be serving as your mistress of ceremony today. Thank you all for being here. I want to level set the day and how things will go with this conversation. All of the Divine Nine are nonpartisan organizations. So every candidate on both sides of the aisle have been invited to be a part of this conversation today. So if they accept it, great. If they didn't, that's fine. But what we want to make sure that we are doing is that we are being hospitable and we are living in a spirit of democracy. So we give everybody their opportunity to speak. We give everybody an opportunity to be heard so that everybody can get a full understanding of each candidate and their platform. Can we all agree to that? Perfect, thank you. So let's see, each candidate will have 3 minutes to speak, and you will be timed and you will be stopped in 3 minutes. We will then allow audience questions for each candidate if there are any. For the ballot this year, the school board was during the primary, so if you won during the primary of the school board, they're not on the ballot in November. On the ballot in November are the sheriff, district attorney, judges, Congress, and legislatures. There's also bonds on the ballot, so make sure you're turning over your ballot. So all the way up and down the ballot, right? We want to make sure that everyone is aware of that. Early voting starts on October the 20th through November the 5th. During early voting, you can register and vote same day. Everybody in here knows that, I know. However, we want to make sure that we tell others that there's an opportunity to do that. We want everyone to have an opportunity to be a part of the democratic process. So, how about we get started? So this is a collaboration between NPHC of Durham and Orange County, the Durham Alumnae chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Ooh. Shout out to my soror and all that. Shout out to my soror in the building. Yeah. But what we do know as organizations that all have a service foundation is that when we all pull together, we are very powerful. So that's why we want to always make sure that we are pulling together opportunities like this for us to work together to get done the work that we feel needs to be done in our community. So we'll get started with our first speaker. And unfortunately, I am not familiar with David Harris who is here. Is David Harris here running for Soil and Water? Okay, maybe he'll come a little later. Sean Howe, running for District 31. Okay, maybe he'll come a little later. So let's go with Mr. Alvin Reed, who's running for North Carolina State Senate District 20. Thank you.
Alvin Reed, I'm running for North Carolina Senate District 20, which is all of Chatham and Southern Durham. My education is mechanical engineering. My background is information technology. And my claim to fame is I'm the author of The Theory of Biblical Patterns, which proves that higher intelligence rates Genesis 1:1. That's why I'm running for office. Just go to my website, alvinreed.com. You can read all about it. Or I brought some books. I wrote a book about it. I've got them in the car. They're absolutely free of charge. So if you want a book about my theory, just ask me. I'm pushing for school vouchers. I want every parent in Durham and Chatham, where I'm running, to be able to choose for themselves which school they send their children. Because the more competition you have in the education system, the better off everyone will be. The top students will be better off, the bottom students will be better off, the middle students, the parents will be better off, the teachers will be better off, and your best teachers will make more money. And they may be moving to a private school, because a lot of parents would choose a private school when they have to choose, because private schools, they tend to get higher test scores. So if the money follows the child, many parents will choose private schools. Many children will choose Christian schools. I happen to be a Christian, proud of it. And I personally would choose a Christian school, because Christian schools where they learn discipline. Even the atheists will send their kids to a Christian school because that's where they learn discipline. And I ask for your vote in November.
Thank you, Mr. Reed. Who's my timekeeper? Back here. Okay, so we're good. Are there any questions for Mr. Reed running for Senate in District 20? No questions? Excellent. Look at that. We're going to move this right along then. We will now have Representative Marsha Maury to come up and speak. Oh, what's the district? 30. Running in District 30. Thank you. I can't see that. Oh my God.
Hey everyone, thank you, first of all, for sponsoring this event, but most important for each one of you to be here. This election, whatever it is, for judges, for Congress, for State House and State Senate and Soil and Water, it matters. And what we need to talk about is how it doesn't matter to each individual. So I am a candidate running for my 4th term for the State House. I was judge in Durham. I'm surrounded by judges here, my wonderful colleagues, and I loved being a judge. But I felt it was time to go out and fight for the things I think we see in our courtrooms and what we believe in. And a lot of that has to do with children and families. I'm a big proponent of criminal justice reform. And we were successful to raise the age of juvenile jurisdiction to 18 and get 6, 7, 8-year-olds out of the criminal system. I want to keep working on things like that. I want to work for our public schools. All of our children, our teachers, educators. We have $6 billion we're not spending that we could be helping our educators, our school buildings, our children. Our freedoms are on the ballot this year. And the Republican supermajority, if they get it, they will say no abortion because life begins at the fetal heartbeat. If you believe that, that's fine. But if you want the privacy to choose with your doctor and your family, let's codify in North Carolina statute what Roe versus Wade guaranteed for over 50 years. We can disagree, but let the people have the right to their privacy with their healthcare providers. Our right to vote. We have to expand our right to vote, reach out to people. This election will depend on who comes out. Regardless of party, regardless of your philosophy, we need people to come out and say, what do we want our future to be for our environment, for our children, for our security? My last issue is gun safety. All these judges have seen the effects of gun violence. I saw it in our juvenile courts. We have to do more to protect people from gun violence. Sensible, safe storage, red flag laws, a ban on semi-automatic weapons. We can protect people, and it's our duty to do that. Anyway, it's a wonderful Sunday, wonderful to see you. Thank you so much, and I would appreciate your vote.
Thank you, Representative Maury, District 30. I can see it now. District. Yes, so thank you for your service. Thank you for being here today. Let's see, we will move on now to Courtney Gills. Am I saying it correctly? Courtney Gills. Courtney is running for U.S. House, North Carolina, District 4. Courtney Gills.
Is it okay if I hold it?
Yeah.
Well, maybe not. I'll try and work with that. I'm short, y'all. Hey everyone, I'm Courtney
Courtney Geels, and I'm running for the U.S. House in District 4. District 4 now entails Orange, Durham, Alamance, Person, and Granville County. I grew up in Orange County in Hillsborough, went through the public school system there, and then went to Bob Jones University in South Carolina and actually got a nursing degree. So I've been a nurse for 10 years. Never been a politician, but what I've noticed in my own career is this trend in healthcare where hospital administrations are prioritizing profits over quality healthcare. And so at the bedside, as a nurse, my number one job is to advocate for the patients and make sure they get what they need. And when a high-up administrator that's so far removed from the bedside that really doesn't understand the process or the needs for quality care is making decisions that's affecting how well I can do my job, that's really infuriating. And my husband, Brian, he's back here. Hi, Brian. Brian's a CPA, and he has worked at small CPA firms, mid-sized firms, and an international firm. The international firm that he worked at had acquired the mid-sized firm. He never had that desire to work at one of those big four. And what he saw in that year of working for that large firm is this disconnect, again, with the high-level partners selling these products, a financial audit to the consumer, which was usually another large business. And they are paying more for the product, but usually the people doing the audit was someone right out of school that really didn't know what they were doing. So they were paying more for a product that was worse. So we're seeing this big business model across pretty much every single area of the market. And now what I'm seeing in our federal government is really a prioritization on money and power over defending our rights. And I see that on both sides of the aisle. I'm running as a Republican nominee, but I see that in every career politician. The further I get into politics, the more I see where the people who've been entrenched in politics for a long time, they know the right answers and they're going to give that to you. And they're also going to prioritize whatever gets them to the next level. And I'm sick of it. And last summer, I really felt like one specific executive order specifically touched my family. And we've seen executive orders throughout many administrations. So my number one goal is to bring power to the people and ideally to the states at least. Our federal government, we should never see law made by one person and then been able to enforce that. So I don't care if it's Biden, I don't care if it's Trump in the White House, no one person should be able to make and enforce law, and that's my number one priority. So every single thing that you're going to find that you ask me a question on, I'm going to be wanting to make sure legislatively I'm bringing power as closely to your level as possible and being an advocate and accessible to you. So I ask for your vote, and I would love to represent all of you. And my cell phone number is on my website. I will be as accessible as possible as a representative as I am right now, and I want to advocate for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Courtney. Thank you for being here. Representative Moore, can you stay for just a couple of seconds? I did not ask if anybody had questions for Representative Moore. Does anybody have questions? Probably not. Okay, but I just wanted to make sure. She's been representing the district for quite some time, so no questions, but you can get over on the website if you need to. Any questions for Courtney? Courtney, thank you for being here today. Any questions for Courtney? For those of you who are new to the area, Courtney is running for the district of the retiring, legendary, iconic David Price, who is retiring. So this is for those of you who are new to the area. I know we have some people who have just moved to this area, so I just want to make sure that people are understanding what's happening here. So thank you again, Courtney. Call her cell phone. She told you. She told you to call her cell phone.
Every requirement, I have somebody call my cell phone.
That's right. So you call her if you have any questions. She is looking for your vote to represent you. So you call and ask her any questions. So thank you, and thank you, Brian, for being here to support. Courtney, it's Brian, right? Right? Yep. For being here to support. So thank you for being here, Courtney. Let's see. I'm just going to look around the room because I can't hardly see what I wrote down, and this is not good, even with my glasses on. So I'm going to go to Kevin Jones here, who is soon to be Judge Kevin Jones, Superior District Court Judge Kevin Jones. So Kevin Jones.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kevin Jones. I'm running for Durham County District Court Judge, Seat 3. But before I get into that, I have to acknowledge the lovely ladies of Delta Sigma Theta for putting this matter on. I would also like to acknowledge the men of Phi Beta Sigma who are in the room. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us. But back to why we're here, I want to talk to you guys about pursuing greater justice. My campaign for the last year has been about pursuing greater justice, and I've defined that as never being satisfied with the status quo. When the justice system, in the justice system in particular, you can never be satisfied with how things are right now. We always have to be ready to push forward and do more. Prior to becoming a lawyer, I practiced law in Durham for approximately 19 years. I've done criminal law, civil, been in all different courtrooms. But the time that I spent prior to becoming a lawyer is where it was most impactful for my life. I was a teacher for 3.5 years before I became a lawyer. And in that time as a classroom teacher is where I learned that you have to be willing to meet the students at the point of their need. And when you're meeting students at the point of their need, you're able to really connect with them on an authentic way. And so that is how I approached representing my clients in Durham over the last 19 years, is trying to connect with them and really find out what are the root causes of some of the things that are going on in their life. So those skills that I learned as a classroom teacher and as a practicing lawyer in Durham for almost 19 years is what I plan on bringing to the bench. In November, or when this early vote starts, you'll see one name there. Hopefully I can earn your vote. So in January, I'll be sworn in as the next district court judge. But most importantly, I want you guys to join me in this pursuit of greater justice. Thank you.
Thank you, soon-to-be Judge Jones. As he said, he's running unopposed at this point, but still is asking for your vote. So, any questions? Judge Jones? Attorney Jones? We have a question back here for you in the back.
Hi, my name is Brianna, and I just want to ask what your message would be for those who may be losing confidence in the system as is, just how that what is your message about that?
Well, my message would be to come out to events like this, because when you come out to events like this, you get a chance to ask those questions like you just had, but you get the chance to look at these politicians in the eye. You get a chance to see where they're coming from and where their heart is and what they're really about. So for those people who may be losing hope or losing confidence in our system, I would implore them to, when you see events like this going on, come on out and hear from the people. Put their feet to the fire. Ask those questions to make them pour out to you as far as why you should vote for them. And so that's what I would say. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you for your questions. Okay. You're off the hot seat for now. Yeah, so now I'm going to call our resident Superior Court Judge, Brian Wilkes, up to the podium.
Thanks so much. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you to my assistants for hosting this event and inviting me to participate. My name is Brian Wilkes. I am one of your resident Superior Court judges. I was appointed by the governor in August of last year. I'm on the ballot. I'm unopposed, thank God. That's the best kind of race you want to run, but I do want to give you some background about myself. I came to Durham in 1993 to attend law school at Central. I'm originally from South Carolina, grew up in a farming and industry town. The industry and the farming dried up, so I went to school. And I kept going to school so that I wouldn't have to go back as far as farming, but I know how to do it. So I know a hard day's work when I have to do that. I started law school in 93, I finished in 96. After law school, I started in the public defender's office where I represented indigent defendants for 4.5 years. Everything from juveniles committing major crimes to adults up to armed robbery, rapes, and second-degree murder. I left the PD's office and went into private practice for 3 years, representing everyone in Durham. Civil, criminal, federal cases, bankruptcy cases. I taught at the law school. I have several of my former students that are here as well as on the bench. So I take that as a sense of pride. I did that for about 20 years, off and on. Left private practice, went to the Attorney General's office to represent the state in personnel litigation and criminal appeals work. I did that for about 3.5 years until I was called back to Durham to serve as district court supervisor in the district attorney's office. From that position, A retiring judge, Craig Brown, retired and told me to be ready because he wasn't going to be in office all times. I was a district court judge for 13 years where I tried all types of cases, criminal, family, abuse, neglect, dependency. You name it, I tried it. In every position that I had, I felt that I was ready to be a judge, but God said not yet. So he kept sending me to these different positions to round out my background. And then finally in August, I was appointed to Superior Court where I do major felonies and civil matters over $25,000. I go throughout the state of North Carolina. I was in Nash County last week for armed robbery cases. 2 weeks I'll be in Wake, I'll be in Person, I'll be in Granville, Franklin, Warrenton. I'll be back in Durham to serve as a resident judge in January. I ask your support because I need your support. I ask your prayers because I need your prayers. To hold us accountable, come to our courtroom. Our courtroom is open every day. You will be able to see what personalities you're elected. You'll be able to see whether I'm my authentic self on the bench. You'll be able to see everybody else's authentic self on the bench. And sometimes people put on a black robe and they forget who they are. And I tell people all the time, the black robe does not establish your personality, it exposes it. You're just on a bigger stage. So I ask for your support as always. Keep me in your prayers. If you see me, ask how things are going, and I'll let you know, better or worse. But thank you always for your support.
Any questions for Judge Wilkes? Again, he's running unopposed, but is asking for your vote here. Any questions? No questions? You're off the hot seat. All right. All the judges are standing together, so I'm gonna break it up a little bit. I see the sheriff standing back there, so if we could just invite Clarence Burkhead, the current Durham County Sheriff, up to the podium.
And there I thought I was going to get to close out the event. Thank you, Angelique. Good afternoon, Deltas, and thank you for the invitation and the opportunity to speak before you briefly today. My name is Clarence Burkhead. I am your current sheriff elected in 2018. I'd like to just give a quick highlight of what we've done over the past 3 years in the midst of a pandemic, in the midst of unprecedented gun violence, amid the great resignation and the defund movement. The Durham County Sheriff's Office has achieved Triple Crown accreditation. And what that means is our law enforcement is accredited by a national organization. The infirmary, where we take care of the incarcerated, is certified by a national accredited organization. And we, for the first time ever, our jail facility is accredited. And there are only 29 sheriff's offices in the country that hold that distinction. And only four, we were the third in North Carolina. And we did that all through these issues that we battled. Now, I share that with you not to brag or boast, but I am bragging, I am boasting. But also to say that we've got more work to do. We've built a significant, strong, vibrant foundation in Durham. But we've got issues. And we've got more to do. And as your sheriff, I think I am positioned, I think I am the qualified one to continue to lead the efforts to combat gun violence, to educate individuals about eviction process, and help them navigate that process. And then to really get in our schools and make our schools as safe as possible. I run the SRO program, all the SROs report to me. And so it's a privilege to serve our schools and help reach our kids, because our kids are dying at an alarming rate. And we cannot turn away from the problem. We cannot hide from the problem. So the last thing I'll share with you is recently Governor Cooper appointed me to the Governor's Crime Commission to serve on Criminal Justice Improvement Committee. That's an honor. So not only are we doing great things in Durham, we're now doing great things across the state thanks to the appointment. The governor also appointed me to the Racial Equity Task Force, where I serve alongside Anita Earls and Josh Stein, really trying to create some equity in the criminal justice system and lead the reform movement. I am so honored to be in that company, so honored to serve as your sheriff, with your support, your vote, and your continued prayers, we will do great things in the next 4 years as Sheriff of Durham County. Thank you all very much.
Questions?
Hello, thank you for coming out. Actually, all the candidates for being here. I was trying to go through all my mailers before I came to Russia, and one of the ones that came from someone who is running against you says, I am not responsible for the violent crimes that occur inside the Durham city. So I would imagine, given the nature of elections, that there's additional context that wasn't provided. So I think you would be able to do that now.
Thank you. That's all I can say is thank you. Absolutely. In Durham, we have one community, one Durham. Durham City is the largest municipality in Durham. I am ultimately responsible for the 250 unincorporated miles of Durham to provide a plethora of services, including law enforcement. When I made that statement that was about 7 sentences more, it was because I appreciate the work that the Durham City Police does. I stand beside Chief Andrews and the men and women of that agency to support them to combat the crime that occurs inside the city limits. For reporting purposes, I am not responsible for those stats in Durham. The 50 homicides impacted all of us, impacted me as the sheriff, certainly the residents inside the city limits. But for reporting purposes, those are Durham City Police Department stats. I report the stats that are on an unincorporated area. And I don't want to step on Chief Andrews' toes. We have a gentleman's agreement, there's a charter, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what I meant by that, and yeah, taken out of context. We have a great police department. They're suffering like all of us are. I'm probably 105 FTEs short. Durham, I think, is 120, 116 short. So we have to work together, and we do, but we don't report the same crimes. I have to report mine on this side. She has to report hers on that side.
Any other questions? Any further question?
Right here.
Yeah, there's a question here.
Here.
Hi, my name is Pierre, and I run the SRO program in the city and outside.
Yes. Yeah, the sheriff's office is unique.
Can you repeat the question? It's okay.
She wanted to make sure you asked me, do I run the SRO program inside the city and outside the city? Yes, the sheriff's office is responsible for the school resource officers program. And even before I was sworn in as sheriff, we were working together, Dr. Mahinga and I, to reimagine our SRO program. Durham City no longer has an SRO program. They poured out about 2.5 years ago. So it is totally left up to my office. We are in all of our high schools and most of our middle schools and none of our elementary schools. And there's a conversation at the state level to get additional funding so that we can reach our kids in elementary schools, because we know that that's where they're most impressionable, that's where they're most influenced. So we're trying to get those in there. But yeah, the SRO program is under my leadership.
Similarly, building on Ms. Emily's questions, especially given that you mentioned that City of Durham no longer has SRO, what action that is focused for your office at this point? What action items are being addressed to do that, and helping the issues, addressing the individuals before they become combating gun violence? What is being done to deter that?
What is being done to deter young people from engaging in gun violence and poor decisions? Yeah, at the middle school and high school level, we run a great program, which is a program to steer young people away from a life of crime or gang membership. We no longer do the DARE program. The DARE would just say no to drugs. So we sort of reimagined that. Then we also run mentoring. Our SROs, not only are they in school as a resource, but they mentor our kids. They coach basketball, they coach track, and they engage kids outside of the school setting when called upon. So we really try to teach them good citizenship and good decision making, but we also recognize that they deal with significant trauma, and these adverse child experiences are real. So we want to be there when they just need someone to talk to. We go through fair and impartial policing, cultural awareness, so we can break down some of the barriers that already exist because they're in uniform in law enforcement and may not have had that interaction. So we try to meet them on their level, speak their language, and again, build that relationship with our kids, point them in a different direction. We have a choices program where we identify high-performing kids and take them on field trips. And the last field trip that we do is to Washington. We take them to DC for 4 days, show them around the nation's capital, and engage them with some of our representatives in Congress and U.S. Senate. So again, trying to make good decisions by building those relationships. Did she get another voice? Just messed up.
Is there an additional incentive? I'm a teacher in our high school, and so I'm wondering, is there an additional incentive for SROs to be involved in those ways? To those work, right? So not only these roles of confrontation and disciplinary action, is there an incentive for them?
From my office, incentives? Not really. But we train them and we encourage them to build those relationships. Most of my SROs have been SROs beyond 5 years. It's anywhere between 5 and 23 because they love our kids. They're committed to making a difference in the lives of our young people. And so I really don't need to incentivize them to do the great work that they do. And they do it lovingly, day in and day out. And so when you hear about the school-to-prison pipeline, that's not Durham. When you hear about incidents that happen with SROs across the country, that's not Durham. Again, we work very hard with our DPS staff, as you know, making sure that the teachers are frontline, the principals are frontline, and we're there to support them as much as our students, so we don't engage in the disciplinary process. We truly want to be a resource for our students.
Shout out to our educators. Yes. Anything else for the share?
Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. And I would submit, and if I am wrong, Sheriff, please correct me. But I would submit that if there are any groups that you would like the sheriff to come and speak to about these topics, I would think that he would invite you to do just that. I've seen it, which is the only reason I'm bringing this up. Preston, get me if I'm wrong on this, but Preston is the chief of staff. Please reach out to his office. He is willing to have those conversations. So I just wanted to note that. Something else I want to note, Mr. Reed is running in North Carolina State Senate District 20. The incumbent is Natalie Murdoch, who signed up to be here but had emergency gallbladder surgery the other day. So I just wanted to note that she would have been here but she had her surgery the other day. So I'm going to go back to the judges. I'm going to ask Judge Amanda Maris to come up to the podium now.
Okay, back to the shorter folks. I am Amanda Maris, and I'm so happy to be here today with you all. I want to thank Angelique, your MC. It's a tough job to MC, tougher than probably, I submit, standing here before you all as a candidate. I want to thank Delta Sigma Theta. I'm going to get it right because I'm not a sorority lady myself. I do appreciate your color. I got my red on for you today. And also the Brothers of Phi Beta Sigma. I got it correct. Well, I've been a district court judge since August 2017. I was appointed when Representative Maury stepped down from her seat by Governor Cooper. I was on the ballot in 2018 and I was retained, thank you, by the Durham voters. I am again on the ballot unopposed as I was in 2018. Whether you have someone running against you or not, you need to be accountable to the voters. And the question that I heard earlier about that was presented to my future colleague, Judge Jones here, about how do we answer the question of people that lost confidence in the system, is a really important question, because what I can tell you is that question really resonates with why I wanted to be a judge in the first place. Before I was a judge, I was an assistant public defender for almost 11 years. And really, frankly, being a public defender opened my eyes to what happens in the court system. Because it wasn't something I was intimately familiar with myself. Prior to that time, the only interaction that I'd had with the justice system were speeding tickets, which I now try very hard not to get. But what I can say is that we know that the justice system is disproportionate in its impact on certain folks, people of color, low-income individuals. We know that not everybody is treated the same. And that's something that's a fundamental problem that has to be addressed. And it's not something that's going to be addressed in one person's term, by one candidate, by one office. It's not going to be addressed by any few individuals. It's going to be addressed by system-wide change, and it's going to be addressed by collaborative efforts. And so back in 2017, when I was thinking about the fact that I would be on the ballot, when I didn't know if I would have competition, and I didn't know what type of attention I would need to draw to the reasons that I ran, I chose the slogan, "Moving Justice Forward Together." And the together piece is really important. It's still my slogan today, and I think that it will unfortunately need to be the slogan indefinitely. Because again, nothing can be done standing alone. And we know that. Anyone that's looked at the civil rights movement, we know that it wasn't one individual. We have influential leaders, we have people of eloquence that inspire us to come together, but ultimately it's the masses that make changes. In our justice system and every government institution, there are changes that need to be made. They continue to need to be made, and we can't make them in isolation, in a silo, in a vacuum. I met Kiara earlier. She teaches at Hillside. I know you didn't divulge your school earlier, but what happens in our public school system is connected to what happens in our justice system. What happens at our hospitals and the type of medical care that people get is connected to the opportunities, to the quality of life that they have. Everything we do together in the government affects all of us. So I'm very aware of that. And what I can tell you is that in my first 12 months in office, I helped co-found a first of its kind program called the DEAR program. Some of you may have heard of it. It stands for Durham Expunction and Restoration Program. And what it does is it offers free legal services for expunctions and for driver's license restoration. I may be getting short on time. I can't see the time here. And well, let me get this part out, which is that back when I was a public defender, I helped start the first public expunction clinic in Durham. And we looked at the numbers statewide. We looked at Durham to see there were over 14,000 people that had suspended licenses due to failure to pay a ticket. And certainly if you had the money to pay a ticket, it kept you from getting your license, you would do that, right? So things like this that we need to look at, creating free access to getting your license back, things of this nature that are important to me. And I thank you for your time.
She's running unopposed, and it's still up here giving all of that. Y'all give it up for this man. Do you have any questions for Judge Harris? Any questions? Okay. Thank you, Judge. Thank you so much. Bye, Courtney. Bye. Okay, so I'm going to jump back over to the legislature now. We have Ray Jeffers, who's joining us, who, because of the way the lines were drawn, will now be representing us out of Person County. Person County. So please welcome Ray Jeffers.
Thank you all, and let me first say that I was raised by Delta. I'm married to a Delta, and I have escorted my share of young women down the Jabberwock in Rockford, my grandmother made sure that we did that. My name is Ray Jeffers. I'm coming out of Person County. I'm new to Durham Public Service, but not new to public service. I've had a distinct honor in Person County to serve 12 years as a county commissioner, and I first elected in 2008 as the youngest county commissioner in the state and the youngest county official across the country that year. I was 25 when I first got elected. Served 12 years on the board. Out of those 12 years, I served 11 years on the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners Board of Directors, ultimately serving as its president in 2014, youngest president in the association's history. I was sworn in the night before my 30th birthday. And so I tell you all of that to say that I will roll my sleeves up and get to work for you. You know, I ran in Person County because I stayed in Person County. So many of my friends, including my brother who moved to Charlotte and to Durham, and Mevin, my twin brother, he's not coming back to Roxborough. And we see that all the time with our children and our kids when they go off to college, and we're not doing anything there to bring them back, that they will go off and leave and not come back. And so I am running in the newly redrawn district that encompasses all of Person County and northern Durham, and almost just shy of 85. Some of Marshall's old district, and So I'm often asked, how can, me coming from a rural area, all of that rural representation, represent Durham? And what I will tell you is, when I was president of the state association, that was my initiative for that year, of ways to bridge that rural-urban divide. Because though we are different, we are very unique and with our similarities as well. We still need affordable housing, health care, transportation. Those things don't look at county borders, rural or urban. And so those are things that I've worked on as a county commissioner. Broadband is really big on one of my top to-do lists because this is a rural district. In Person County, as a commissioner, we were able to lay 52 miles of fiber throughout the county, but the state said we only could run it to public facilities. So we couldn't get some of those last mile areas because we had to go to schools or to our volunteer fire departments. And now the hope is that those companies that would not put that infrastructure in the ground would now come and lease it from the county and service those folks that were not able to get service before. Education. Grandmother was an educator, who I told you I was raised by. I know the importance of that. Not only the teachers pay and retiree pay, because I listened to her when she didn't give her that little percentage. I know I'm done on time. But supportive education, not only with supporting our teacher pay, but our support staff. She was an English teacher, and she would tell you she could not do her job without her support staff, her TAs, the importance of the custodians, our cafeteria workers, and all in providing a conducive learning environment for our children. So I think I have to stop there. I will say real quick that when I first got elected 25, I had an older gentleman that was the mayor of town at that time. He was a former principal. He told me, he said, leave people's children, kids, and pets alone. Property line, kids, and pets alone, and you'll be all right. And he also said, never leave a crowd without asking for your vote. And so I am asking for your vote if you're in this Northern District, House District 2, on October 20th early vote or November 8th election day.
Excellent. Any questions?
This will be the first time this district will be represented by anyone that looks like me in a long time that someone had a D beside their name. And the person that we have representing us now, I beat him twice as a county commissioner. He beat me for this seat in 14 when it encompassed all of Person and Southern Granville. So by putting Northern Durham and put it back in contention, and I can tell you the last 8 years, we have not had any representation. He is not someone you want, he will not represent Durham's interests.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you. Ray is a farmer up in Person County. What do you farm, Ray?
Oh, I farm my family-centric farm. We're 150 years this January, and so I farm through works back and farms down, do vegetables and pasture-raised pigs.
You're gonna bring us some vegetables right now. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here today. Thank you. I'm going to go back over to the judges. I have a particular warmness for this judge. I know I'm not supposed to, but my daughter had to stand before her. It's the only time I've ever had to stand before a judge. But I have a particular warmness, so I would like to ask Judge Dorita Walker to come up.
Good afternoon. I'm short. Okay, I'm short too. I'm Dorita Walker. I'm one of the district court judge. I've been a judge since I was elected in 2010. I've been a judge since then. My colleagues have said about everything, and I don't want that young man to give me this sign back here or anything, so I'm going to keep it short. I have worked in every courtroom. I'm a mental health judge. I'm juvenile certified. I love what I do. I have a passion for making sure our children are protected in Durham. One of the ways that you can become involved, Judge Wilkes has said it, come to court, observe what's going on in court, and mentor, vote. That's how you can be involved. That's how everyone can be involved. And I think our judges have said it all, and I ask for your vote.
any questions for, look. I thought I was short. Oh goodness. Any questions for Judge Walker?
I was wondering, what's more about the mental health judge aspect? I've never heard of that.
We have a mental health court, and I think we've had one for, oh, get back over here. You want to put it back up? Okay. We have, you said you never heard of our mental health court, and Durham has a mental health court. A lot of the counties in North Carolina have one. We have a great need, and basically, I know you all know that we have a great mental health problem in the United States. Durham has a great mental health problem. We have a mental health court in that basically there are people that commit crimes. It's a diversionary court that instead of actually prosecuting people, we give them help, we give them housing, we give them mental health services, we help them with substance abuse, and basically help them with their medication management, even help them get the services they need. And once they do that, they actually get their charges dismissed if they go through the program. It can be anywhere from 6 months to some people take a little longer to get help. And we follow through, even when they graduate, we still follow through with them. And it's basically making sure we help their whole person so they don't commit crimes again and come back and harm people in Durham.
Thank you so much.
Any other questions? I'm sneaking out now.
And let me just clarify when I said my daughter had to stand before Judge Walker, she had a speeding ticket. Rushing to school, that's what she told me. But then she called her godmother and was like, can you call my mother? I'm like, what is going on? But I just appreciate the way that you handled that. She was a senior in high school, and so that's why it was just a great, I was like, oh, thank you, oh my gosh. But she's now a fellow Tar Heel and all those good things. So I want to bring up now, it looks like last, but certainly not least. I'm looking around to make sure I'm not missing anyone else. But Judge Dorothy Mitchell, North Carolina Central University grad, law school, undergrad, but Judge Dorothy Mitchell.
Good afternoon, everyone. First and foremost, thank you to the lovely ladies of Delta Sigma Theta and all of the Divine Nine for putting this program on for everyone to be able to come here today. I am Dorothy Hairston Mitchell. I used to say this, and I think I still can right now. I'm the newest judge on the bench until we have Kevin Jones to join us, but I was appointed by the governor. I'm very honored to have been appointed by the governor. In December of last year, I took the bench, got onto the bench in January of this year, so I am very new to the bench, but I am doing my heart's work. And I have done my heart's work since I was about 16 years old. I tell people all the time, I may look younger than I really am. I get that all the time unless you see me with my children and then you realize I'm a mom and I'm a little bit older. But I have worked in the legal field since I was 16 years old, but I had practiced about almost 19 years, going on 20 years now as a licensed attorney. But like I said, been a judge since January of this year. I was also honored to have been appointed to my mentor seat, which is Brian Wilkes, who is our Superior Court judge. So when he got the appointment to Superior Court, I was able to get the appointment to his district, the seat that he held, because he makes sure to remind me that this is not my seat. Seat 4 is not my seat, but it's the seat that I hold, and I hope to continue to hold. But just to tell you all a little bit more about me, I have been a Durham resident since 1995 when I came here to the North Carolina Central University. I went there for undergrad, graduated. I also went to law school there and graduated from the law school, and have been practicing here ever since. When I first came to Durham, I would have told any and everybody that this would not be my home long term, but it became that. I am married. I have 2 boys, 11 and 13 years old. So it is so important to me to do my heart's work because I want to teach them that that is what it's about. When I go to court to work every day and I'm on that bench every day, I am doing exactly what I know God placed me on this earth to do. And I get to still do the things that I did before I got on the bench. I was in private practice for a few years. In private practice, I ran my own office. And I did the whole gambit. I represented people in personal injury, workers' comp, criminal, traffic, anything you can name, family court. As you know, if you're self-employed business owner in private practice, you pretty much take anything that comes in the door. And so I did that. But I got into the area of juvenile law. And so I started very early on in my career representing children and families in juvenile court, both abuse, neglect, dependency cases, as well as juvenile delinquency cases. So I left private practice, was asked to come into the public defender's office and represented parents in abuse, neglect, dependency. Also was the defense attorney representing people in drug treatment court, which we also have here, very similar to mental health court. Am I, my time is edging? You edging, okay. This time, look, I was back here like, I was gonna keep it short, then I'm like, this time is going by fast. Okay, so then I became a professor at North Carolina Central School of Law, where I ran the juvenile law clinic, and like I said, got the appointment. I'm so grateful. I asked for you all's vote. I am too running unopposed, which I am so grateful for. I do not take that lightly, and I'm so grateful to be able to be here with you all. If anybody has questions, please throw them at me. If there's too much time, less time left, I'll stay here and be around, and we can chat it up. All right.
Any questions for Judge Mitchell? You have a question?
Yes. I knew you were going to have a question.
As a woman of color practicing law, how do you, or what do you do to encourage other young women to help young women who want to follow in the steps?
Well, first of all, I have to, that is a wonderful question. She says, if y'all didn't hear her, as a woman of color, what do I do to help encourage other young women of color? First, I want to say that it's always important for me to let people know that I am Korean and black. My mom's Korean, my father is black, and I am super proud of that. So I want to encourage, first and foremost, I encourage young women, I think, by just living my life in a way that they can see how they can be, who they can be, what they can do, and be encouraged by the life that I live. So I try to live my life in a very positive way. I always tell my boys, the most important thing that you should think about every day is you want to be a positive entity in other people's lives. Don't be a bully, don't talk back, don't do any of that stuff. And so I try to live that life, right? But I also have been very involved in different programs. Like I said before, I work with a lot of youth as well as families, and so I try to take them under my wing and show them the way, and encourage them in that way, and encourage their parents, because a lot of the children are not able to be encouraged because their parents didn't have the tools to encourage them themselves. And so I try to work with the parents as well too. So that is what I would say today. Hopefully that answers your question. All right. I'm rounding it out. All right, thank you all.
Judge Mitchell again, running unopposed, but is here asking for your vote. So we want to give everybody that opportunity. I do want to, Judge Maris mentioned that she worked in the public defender's office. I'm going to shout out Dawn Baxton, who is the chief public defender of Durham County. So shout out to Dawn. Although it's not an elected position, it is still a very important position in our criminal justice system. And I see that was a big topic here. So shout out to Dawn. I want to just make sure that we patronize this wonderful place and say thank you to them for having us today. So thank you. I think some of you have done some things to make sure that you go and do that. I want to definitely thank Jasmine McGee, who is the chair of the social committee for Durham Alumni chapter. She is in Dublin, so she was not able to join us today, but thank you for your leadership, Jasmine. I'm looking to the camera. Thank you for your leadership, Jasmine. Thank you to Truett O'Neill, who is everything just great, but is the president of the NPHC of Durham and Orange counties. Thank you for your leadership, True. Let's give it up for True. And thank you all for being here today. Mr. Jeff.
Senator Woodard said at that event that Representative Moore went to, he said he would try to get here before 4 o'clock. Just to let you know.
Okay, so that's Senator Mike Woodard that you're talking about there. I think he probably is running unopposed. Not sure. He does have okay, but so that was Senator Mike Woodard, who's a part of the Durham delegation. So speaking now. Kira, did you go to Hillside? Yes, I have watched this baby grow up, and now look at it. I'm just like, oh my! I thought that was you, and I was like, oh my God. So I'm sorry. My baby is about Kiara's age, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, to watch this generation grow up, and to grow up in Durham, and to stay in Durham, and to be an educator in Durham. These are things that are important to everybody who's on the ballot. It's important to public safety, it's important to criminal justice, it's important to everybody that you can grow up here and stay here. So jobs, that's important, safety, that's important, housing, education, all of those things are important to the people that are here in this room today. So make sure you learn about the candidates who are here and the ones who could not make it, but figure out who's on the ballot and vote for the person who is going to best represent your values. I just want to stress again that early voting starts on October the 20th and goes through November the 5th, and then election day is November the 8th. So just remember, bring 5 people with you. Bring some young people with you. It is important that they understand the process. My baby that's sitting in front of the judge was with me from day one at the polls. It is important that we teach our young people the process and that every election matters, not just presidential, every election matters. The people that are standing in the room today and the people that hope to represent you are the people that affect your day-to-day lives. It is important that we vote for people in the local elections because that's our day-to-day lives that they're affecting. So thank you all for being here today. Just thank you all for for being interested in the process. Thank you for your support of this event. Thank you for your support of the candidates and everybody that's in the room. Thank you for your support of Durham. We love Durham, Bull City, horns up. Just thank you. Thank you, everybody, because of you, we can have the Durham that we know that we can be. So thank you all for being here today.